Welcome to NS2 Ultrawide. I'm going to show you all of the settings I use for this game, as well as the best settings I've found for using an NVIDIA graphics card paired with a G-Sync monitor. Let's do the game settings first. Click on Options. Here are the settings I use under the General tab. I'll turn off Show Hints, but I'll leave Show Damage Numbers and Show Enemy Health enabled. Disable Physics Multithreading. For your FAV adjustment, you want to put it as high as possible. For the HUD detail, I'll leave that on low. And moving across to the right-hand side, where you can set your nickname, and I'll leave the minimap zoom default, backgrounds default, and resource loading I'll leave it on high. Click on the Controls tab and set these settings to your liking. I use invert mouse because I'm weird, so I'll enable that, and I think I'll leave my mouse sensitivity as default, and I'll turn off mouse acceleration. The rest of these bindings I really recommend you leave default, or as default as possible. I have a few bad habits, so I will change a couple of buttons around, but this is our personal preference. So my jump and my secondary attack I like to swap around. Under communication and information, I like to just leave all of these default. Under the miscellaneous section, again, I recommend you leave these all default. There is one that I do change, and that is the Go to Ready room. I like to set it to F5. The reason for doing that is because I like to set F3 and F4 to joining the Marine team or the Alien team, and I can show you how to do this now. Press the tilde or grave key to open the console, and type bind space F3 space J1, enter. Now do the same thing to bind F4 to J2, then exit the console. Now that we have our team joining buttons set, go across to commander bindings and just double check that your push to talk key is set correctly, as this can be set independently to your other push to talk keys if you wish. Now I'm going to skip past the mod section, we'll come back to that. Let's go over to graphics, and these are the settings that I use. I'm turning off shadows, bloom, and isotropic filtering and reflections. It's important that your window mode is set to full screen and not full screen windowed or windowed. For texture quality, I leave it on high. I haven't really found that much difference switching between the three in terms of performance. Anti-aliasing off, light quality set to low, and atmospherics turned off. Decal lifetime, put it down to 0. This is such a dark game that you really want your brightness level up to full. My resolution, I'm just going to set it to my native res, which is the one with the asterisk. Wait for vertical sync, let's leave this on disabled, as we'll control it through NVIDIA's settings. GPU memory, I leave it on unlimited, but if you've got an older video card, you may want to set it to an appropriate level. Particle quality, I'll leave that on low. Refraction quality, leave it on low. And ambient occlusion, also off. And infestation, minimal. Okay, over to sound. The main thing I'll change here is I'll turn the voice volume down slightly, as other people's voices can be distracting in the game. Microphone release delay, I'll just leave it as default for now. And microphone gain, I'll leave that as default as well. You can now test it in-game and see your microphone level, so just say a few words into the mic and ensure that the meter goes about halfway. Sound volume, I'll leave it 100, music off, and hit sound volume, I'll put that to about 0.2. Click on apply and let's click on the mods tab. Here we will configure our NS2 Plus options. Now if you don't see NS2 Plus options on the left here, you need to have it active in your mod list. Click on the name column to organize it by name and scroll down to where you see NS2 Plus. You might see 2 entries in here like I have. Only one of these need to be active. So let's activate it and then click on the restart button. Now my game has a bit of a bug with the menu where once it reloads you get the new screen popping up over the top, so just click this little up arrow to hide it again. Click on NS2 Plus options, and I'm going to run through all of my settings. I'm not going to talk through each one. You can replay the video and pause it if you want to copy my settings. And these aren't particularly settings which are essential for you to use. It will take a lot of experimentation. My only tip here is to only change a few settings at once and then join a game and see how they feel. If you change too many all at once, you may join the game and then forget what ones you have changed. But luckily, you can reset all of the NS2 Plus options to default if you need to get back to square one. I'm just going to scroll through all of these next settings until we get down to the graphics section, which contains some settings that you will need to get your NVIDIA graphics card and G-Sync working properly. So under the graphics section, we want to turn off matte particles, enable minimal particles, and high performance lights. I find that flashlight atmospherics need to be turned down a bit as they're a bit distracting, and max decal lifetime down to 0. Now here is where you want to adjust this max FPS limit in the game options. You want to set this to around 3 FPS lower than what the maximum refresh rate is of your screen. So I have a 120Hz display, so I'm going to set this to 117. Now in Windows, you will want to open your NVIDIA control panel and set the following options. Low latency mode should be set to on and not to ultra. And vertical sync we want to set to on. So that's it. I'd like to hear if these settings have helped you. And leave me a comment if you have any other suggestions for future NS2 Ultrawide videos.